Poor boy, sings at talent show to save his dying mother. Never expected his long-lost father is his judge. Inside a dim, sterile hospital room, a small boy sat quietly beside his mother's bed. His name was Jake. His hands trembled as he gently held hers, searching for any sign of life. "Mom, please don't leave me," Jake whispered, his voice cracking with barely contained tears. The machines beeped softly, but no answer came. Jake wiped his eyes quickly, swallowing the lump in his throat. He knew he had to be strong, but the silence was deafening. A soft knock startled him. Turning, he saw Mrs. Collins, the kind neighbor, from down the hall. Her eyes were full of concern. "Jake, sweetheart, have you eaten today?" she asked, gently. Jake shook his head, his lip trembling. "No, I don't want to leave Mom alone." Mrs. Collins sighed softly, stepping closer. "I know it's hard, honey, but you have to take care of yourself, too. What are you going to do now? Have you thought about how to help your mom?" Jake looked down, biting his lip. The mounting hospital bills, the empty fridge, the rent overdue, all crashing in his mind. I have to find a way," he said quietly. Mrs. Collins nodded thoughtfully. "There's a talent show at the community center next week. They're looking for singers. The prize could help, maybe even pay some of those bills." Jake's eyes lit up, hope flickering for the first time in days. "I can sing. I'll try." The next morning, Jake stood outside the crowded community center, his heart pounding. Lights flashed, families gathered, and hopeful kids rehearsed nervously. He took a deep breath, clutching the crumpled registration form in his hand, ready to face whatever came next, never guessing the judge waiting inside would change everything. Jake stood just outside the buzzing community center doors, his small frame swallowed by the oversized jacket he wore. His worn sneakers tapped nervously on the cracked pavement. Despite the excitement around him, his mind was still with his mom lying fragile in that hospital bed. A voice called softly from behind. "Hey there, you look a little lost. You here for the talent show?" Jake turned to see a tall, gentle-faced woman with a clipboard and a warm smile. "I'm Miss Harper," she said kindly. "I help run these auditions." Jake nodded shyly, clutching his registration form tighter. "I'm Jake. I want to sing to help my mom." Ms. Harper's eyes softened, noticing the worry etched deep in his young face. "That's very brave of you, Jake. It takes a lot of courage to sing for something so important." She knelt to meet his gaze. "Do you have anyone with you today?" Jake shook his head slowly. "No, I'm alone." Ms. Harper glanced around the busy lobby, parents chatting, kids practicing, and her expression turned thoughtful. "All right, Jake. We'll take good care of you here. Let me introduce you to someone who might help you get ready." She led him through a side door into a small waiting room. Sitting quietly there was a man in his early 40s, with kind eyes and a soft smile. Mr. Reynolds, one of the judges for the talent show. "Jake," Ms. Harper said, "this is Mr. Reynolds. He listens to every singer today." Jake's eyes flickered with curiosity and something unspoken. A faint familiarity, maybe? Mr. Reynolds stood and extended his hand gently. "Nice to meet you, Jake. I'm looking forward to hearing your voice." Jake swallowed hard but nodded. "Thank you, sir." As Jake glanced at Mr. Reynolds, a spark of hope stirred inside him. Hope not just for winning, but maybe for something more he hadn't even imagined yet. Later that afternoon, Jake returned to the cramped apartment he shared with his mother. The air was heavy with worry and silence. His mother, Sarah, lay weak on the worn couch, her breathing shallow but steady. Jake sat beside her, brushing a stray lock of hair from her forehead. "Mom, I'm going to do something. I promise I won't give up." Sarah's tired eyes fluttered, opened slightly, a faint smile breaking through her exhaustion. "You're so brave, Jake," she whispered. "Whatever you do, I'm proud of you." That night, Jake couldn't sleep. His mind raced with one thought: the talent show. The next morning, he found Mrs. Collins waiting by the mailbox as he stepped outside. "I heard from Ms. Harper," she said softly. "They're holding auditions tomorrow at the community center. The prize money could help with your mom's hospital bills." Jake's heart pounded. This was the chance he'd been waiting for. "I can't sing perfectly, but I have to try," he said, determination shining in his eyes. Mrs. Collins smiled warmly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes hope is the most powerful song of all." With that, Jake made his decision. He would sing, not just for himself, but to save his mother. The day of the audition arrived. Jake stood nervously backstage, his hands shaking but his heart full of resolve. He stepped onto the small stage facing the bright lights and the panel of judges. What he didn't know was that one judge, hidden behind the crowd, was about to change his life forever. As Jake waited backstage, his heart raced faster than ever. The noise of the crowd felt distant, like a storm raging far away. He glanced down at his worn shoes and took a deep breath. "I can do this," he whispered to himself. The first few contestants performed confidently, some with polished voices and rehearsed smiles. Jake watched, feeling a mix of awe and fear. The pressure was overwhelming. When it was finally his turn, Jake stepped onto the stage. The bright lights blinded him for a moment. He scanned the judges' faces, serious, expectant, unreadable. His fingers tightened around the small microphone as the room fell silent. Jake's voice started shaky, barely above a whisper. But as he sang, memories of his mother's smile and Mrs. Collins's encouragement filled his heart. With every note, his confidence grew, his voice stronger and clearer, raw and full of emotion. The audience listened, captivated by the boy singing not just for applause, but for hope. But the challenges weren't over. After his song, some judges whispered among themselves, skeptical about Jake's young age and simple performance compared to the older, more polished contestants. Backstage, other kids gave him cold looks, some doubting he belonged. "I'm too young," Jake thought, biting his lip. "Maybe I'm not good enough." But then Ms. Harper appeared with a reassuring smile. "Don't listen to the noise, Jake. Your song came from your heart. And that's what matters most." Despite the doubts and the pressure, Jake held onto his purpose: to save his mother. The final round of the talent show began. Jake sat quietly in the waiting area, nerves twisting in his stomach. He barely dared to hope. When the judges' results were announced, a hush fell over the room. Tonight's winner is Jake Reynolds. Ms. Harper's voice rang clear, surprising everyone. Jake's heart jumped. He could hardly believe it. As he stepped back onto the stage to accept the prize, the crowd cheered, but Jake's eyes were fixed on one man behind, the judging panel. Mr. Reynolds, the quiet judge Jake had met earlier, stood and looked directly at him, his face a mixture of awe and something deeper, a recognition. Suddenly, Mr. Reynolds walked down from the judge's table and approached. Jake, I'm your father." Jake froze, shock and disbelief flooding his face. "You were never told?" Mr. Reynolds's voice was soft but steady. Jake shook his head slowly, tears welling up. "I left when your mom was pregnant, but I never stopped hoping to find you. Mr. Reynolds said, reaching out. The audience fell silent, the moment electric, with emotion. Jake's tears spilled over as he took the man's hand, feeling the weight of years lost, but the promise of a new beginning. In that instant, the talent show was no longer just a contest. It was the start of a family reunited, a dream born from pain and hope. After the announcement, Jake and Mr. Reynolds moved to a quiet corner backstage. The noise from the crowd faded as they faced each other, two lives finally coming together. Mr. Reynolds knelt down, looking into Jake's eyes with a gentle smile. "I've thought about you every day." "Jake, I'm so sorry I wasn't there sooner." Jake wiped his tears and nodded slowly. "I've missed you too." Just then, Ms. Harper approached, carrying a small wrapped gift, a simple symbol of new beginnings. "We've got a lot to catch up on," she said warmly. Days later, Jake brought Mr. Reynolds to the hospital to meet his mother. The moment Sarah opened her eyes and saw the man standing beside her son, a peaceful smile spread across her face. "Thank you," she whispered, tears of relief in her eyes. Together, they began to plan for the future. Hospital bills, the apartment, and most importantly, rebuilding a family. Jake felt hope blossom in his chest for the first time in months. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but now he wasn't alone. Love, music, and family had brought them back together, stronger than ever. Weeks later, the once quiet apartment buzzed with new life. Laughter echoed through the rooms as Jake and his father, Mr. Reynolds, practiced songs together. Sarah, growing stronger each day, sat nearby, humming along. Jake's worn sneakers were replaced with new ones, and the community center's stage no longer felt intimidating. It was a place of dreams coming true. At school, Jake's friends noticed the change, too. His smile brighter, his confidence growing with every note he sang. One afternoon, as the family gathered around the kitchen table, Mr. Reynolds pulled out a small notebook filled with song ideas. "Looks like we're going to have some fun making music together," he said with a grin. Jake laughed, the sound light and free. "Yeah, and this time I won't be singing just for bills. I'll sing because it's who I am." Sarah squeezed Jake's hand, her eyes shining. "No matter what happens, we'll face it together, as a family." And in that moment, the weight of their past felt lighter, replaced by the promise of a brighter, happier future. After Jake's song ended, the room fell silent for a moment, as if everyone was holding their breath. Then applause slowly began to swell, growing louder and louder until it filled the entire hall. Ms. Harper stepped up to the microphone and announced, "Tonight's winner of the talent show is Jake Reynolds." Jake's heart exploded with joy. His hands trembled as he looked out at the crowd, but a bright smile spread across his face. He had done it. He had sung not just for himself, but for his mother's hope and healing. As Jake walked toward the center of the stage to receive his prize, his eyes locked onto one judge in particular, Mr. Reynolds, the quiet man who had watched him intently all day. With a deep breath, Mr. Reynolds stood up and made his way down from the judge's table, pushing through the crowd toward Jake. "Jake, I'm your father," he said softly but firmly, his eyes full of emotion. Jake froze, shock and disbelief flooding his face. Tears welled up in his eyes as he slowly nodded. "You never knew?" Mr. Reynolds asked gently. Jake shook his head, unable to speak. "I left when your mom was pregnant, but I never stopped hoping to find you," Mr. Reynolds explained, reaching out his hand. With tears streaming down his cheeks, Jake took his hand. The room was silent again, not from tension, but from the overwhelming power of the moment. This wasn't just a talent show anymore. It was a reunion of lost family, a triumph born from pain, love, and hope. In the days that followed, Jake's life transformed. The prize money went toward his mother's hospital bills, easing the heavy burden they had carried for so long. Sarah grew stronger each day, her smile returning brighter than before. Jake and Mr. Reynolds spent hours together, writing songs, sharing stories, and rebuilding the family they had once lost. Jake no longer sang just to survive. He sang to live, to dream, and to inspire. And in that music, he found not only his voice, but a future filled with love and endless possibilities. Jake's story reminds us all that even in the darkest moments, hope can shine through. When life feels overwhelming and the road ahead seems impossible, courage and love can guide us forward, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. It's not just about winning a contest or getting a prize. It's about believing in yourself, never giving up, and holding on to those you love, no matter how hard things get. Jake's journey teaches us that family isn't always about perfect beginnings, but about finding each other, forgiving the past, and building something new together. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to smash that thumbs up and hit subscribe for more unforgettable, emotional, and viral true stories. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell us where in the world are you watching from?